What's up guys, it's your favorite failure, Jonah here, with another installment of the Cringe Fest known as School Stuff. Alright, here's our timeline. It starts at 1763 and ends at 1783. The first event we'll be discussing happened February 10th, 1763 and is known as the Treaty of Paris. When this was signed, it ended the 7 Years' War and confirmed Great Britain's victory over France and Spain. Next up, we have the Proclamation Line of 1763. This forbid all settlements west of the Appalachian Mountains. Some colonists got mad because they were forced to relocate. Next up, we have the Sugar Act, which occurred in 1764. This was the first tax the British enacted to gain revenue from America. This affected the colonies because they were in the middle of a slight economic depression. Next up, we have the Stamp Act, which occurred in 1765. This act put a tax on all printed documents. That included legal documents, newspapers, and commercial documents. The colonists didn't like this because they had no representation back in England. In 1765, the Quartering Act was passed, and in 1767, the Townshend Act was passed. The Quartering Act forced local governments to give British soldiers housing and food, and the Townshend Act forced goods imported to the American colonies to be taxed. Next up is the Boston Massacre, and it occurred on March 5th, 1770. While under attack by a mob, British soldiers opened fire and killed 5 colonists. This caused an outrage among the colonies. Next up, we have the Tea Act, which occurred in 1773. This was another unpopular policy that put taxes on tea sales and guaranteed an East Indian Tea Company a monopoly. Shortly after, on December 16th, 1773, over $1 million in today's money worth of tea was dumped into the Boston Harbor to protest against the Tea Act. This caused the Intolerable Acts, which were passed in 1774. These were 5 laws put into place to keep the colonies under control. One law closed the Boston Harbor until colonists paid the king back. On September 5th, 1774, the First Continental Congress took place. It was a meeting of delegates from 12 out of 13 colonies in Carpenter's Hall, located in Philadelphia. On April 18th, 1775, British troops set out to confiscate colonial weapons, but were met with an angry militia. A farmer fired the first shot, and it was heard around the world, which started the Revolutionary War. The militia killed over 600 British troops and won the battle. After that, the Second Continental Congress was held on May 10th, 1775. Delegates from all 13 colonies met up and discussed leaving British rule. On June 17th, 1775, the Battle of Bunker Hill occurred. During the Siege of Boston, the British were successful in keeping the city, but with a heavy price of 286 out of 2,200 troops dying and 828 troops wounded, this was a confidence boost for the militias. On January 10th, 1776, Thomas Paine's Common Sense was published. This was a pamphlet which had over 120,000 copies, and it appealed to the average colonist because it was written in an easy-to-read manner. It also got many colonists on board to gain independence. Following that, on September 19th, 1777, the Battle of Saratoga took place. This battle is widely believed as the turning point of the war. 5,895 British and Hessian troops surrendered. On October 19th, 1781, the Battle of Yorktown occurred. This was the last significant battle of the Revolutionary War. Following that, on 1781, the Treaty of Paris for the American Revolution was signed by representatives of King George and the 13 colonies. This declared America's freedom. And with that, I conclude this video.